Hey there, Lisa here. Welcome to my channel. I hope you'll join me in my love of crafting and DIYs and hit that subscribe button. This video is part of the seasonal holiday tissue paper tour hosted by myself and Karen at the Loft Home Decor. Her channel will be linked below, as well as the playlist, who I sent tissue paper to and who I received tissue paper from. Be sure to visit my description box to see these ladies' channels, as well as for all sorts of tissue paper inspiration. I sent my tissue paper to Aurea with DIY with Aurea, and I received my tissue paper from Favi at Arrows DIY. So let's get that package opened. I got my tissue paper today, and it comes from Favi at Arrows DIY. I will link her below. You have to check her out. She has some incredible stuff. Oh, how fun! Look at all of the different ones. Can't get them open. There we go. Oh, Favi, thank you. Thank you so much with this gingham, and these are all super springy Easter colors. How beautiful. Thank you so much. And like I said, she will be linked in the description box below. Anyways, I am doing my kitchen in blue and yellow, so I'm gonna have to think about this. There's so many different things we could do with this. Thanks so much, Favi. For this DIY, we're going to do something different with our tissue paper. So I have seen these tissue paper flowers made several different ways, but I am just going to do them like you would if you were to just cut out a bunch of circles and staple them together in the middle, only I'm going to do a flower petal shape around the outside instead of just a circle. And so I just traced this flower from the Dollar Tree, and then I am cutting out how many sheets of tissue paper I want, and I wanted these to be pretty full, so I did 12 sheets of tissue paper for each of the flowers, and I did a flower in each of the 5 colors of the gingham that I received. And then once you get them all cut out, you just staple the middle together so that they stay together, and then you start fluffing them up. And you can fluff 1 at a time, 2 at a time, whatever you want. Just kind of go crazy here and shape them up the way that you want them. And that is it for making these tissue paper flowers. The next thing I did was take 2 of these bunny cutouts. I thought I had several packages of these left, but I was only down to 2. So I decided to do 2 bunnies and 2 Easter eggs. And I am just giving them each a coat of antique wax that I apply with a baby wipe. And I just do the front sides, not the back, because where it's going to be hanging, you won't even see the back. Then I took my roll of twine and I went up and measured the length that I needed to hang it across where it was going to be hung. And then I took and found the middle of it so that I could start hot gluing my pieces to it. I cut a shorter piece of twine to hang the 2 bunnies and the eggs with, and then just strung those through the holes in them already. Then I took a flower and hot glued it to the center that I had found. Once I had hot glued it to the twine, I flipped it over and then just hot glued a piece of ribbon on the back just to help secure it on the twine. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to hot glue the 2 end flowers and then just sort of space the other flowers in between there so that I know about where to hang the bunnies and the eggs. I then take and glue a little pom-pom on each of the bunnies so that they have a fluffy tail. Finally, I take and tie the bunnies and the Easter eggs to the twine, and I just tie it in a knot and then cut off the excess. Final step was to just hang it up and enjoy, and I just hung it across my fireplace, which now that we took the insert out of, I still need to finish whitewashing. But here is an up-close look at the garland, and I think that those tissue papers just add such a fun, bright splash of spring color to this. You guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that this is something that you would ever recreate? Let me know in the comments. For this DIY, we're going to take one of the bunny wreath forms from the Dollar Tree, and we are going to wrap it in nautical rope. So to do this, I just took the hot glue gun and started with a bead of hot glue and then glued the rope down, and then just started wrapping after I put a bead of glue on the back as well. Once it was glued on the front and the back, then I just started wrapping, and I would just wrap until it started to slip a little bit, and then I would just put more hot glue. And I went around the base of the wreath and tried to get the rope as tight to itself as I could. Once I had the wreath base all wrapped and glued down, I took some of this burlap and just covered the front part of the ear, and then I am going to glue it all the way around the ear form using just a bead of hot glue. Once I had one side of the ear done, then I just trimmed off the excess and did the other side of the ear the same way. And then we are going to repeat the process for the second bunny ear. I then took all of these different ribbons in these orange and green colors. And so I started with 2 orange and 2 green in these burlap ribbons. And then I found one left of this pretty carrot ribbon at the Dollar Tree. And so we're going to do 2 of those as well. And then I bought this little carrot ribbon from the Dollar Tree last year. And I did 3 of this smaller one instead of 2. And then I got this burlap ribbon off of Temu. I will have a code linked below so that you can get 30% off on your first order. If you are a crafter and have not checked out Temu yet, you've got to do it. They have really, really reasonable prices on craft supplies. And so I took 3 of this burlap ribbon as well. And so I am just going to take all of these and dovetail the ends, and then I am going to make a messy bow. So once I get all the ends dovetailed, I start laying them out in an X pattern. And I just sort of go in a pattern, but I just do a couple this way, a couple that way until I get it the way that I want it. And then once I get it all laid out the way that I want it, I take a piece of twine and I just tie it together real tight in the middle. And my little guy is giving us puffballs over there. And so I decide that I want the top to not have the knot. And so I flip it around and tie it in a knot so that the knot is in the back, and you want to get it as tight as you can. And then I just double knot it and trim off the excess twine. I then take and loop through a zip tie, as I am going to zip tie this around the wreath form rather than gluing it on. That way it gives you the option to change out your bow and really change the look of your wreath. Finally, I take one of these tissue paper flowers that I had made similarly to the way that I made them in the first DIY. I just used a lot less tissue paper, and I glue that in the center of my bow. And here you go. Here is a look at the final wreath. I really love the way that this turned out. I just think that the combination of all the neutral colors with the orange and the green really make it pop, and the tissue paper flower really adds to the overall look. You guys will have to let me know what you think of this one in the comments below. Also love to know, do you think making tissue paper flowers will be in your future? Let me know below. I hope you like yellow, blue, and white, because this project ends up with a whole lot of it. So I take one of these bunny shapes from the Dollar Tree and I give it a coat of Rustoleum chalk paint in the color linen white, I believe it's called. Once that paint has dried, I take my Mod Podge and I give it a good thick coat of Mod Podge all over the entire surface, and then I let that dry. Then take my little mini iron and cover the tissue paper with some parchment paper and give it a good iron until you can get the tissue paper to stick down. Reactivates the Mod Podge underneath and gives you a pretty good flawless finish. Now I get in a little bit of a hurry, and so there's a couple spots that I struggle, And so I end up taking the parchment paper off and ironing without it. I'm showing you that I missed an area there when I laid down the tissue paper. You can't win them all. So I go back and forth with the parchment paper off and then also with it on, and just make sure that I get a good adhesion. Then I take, and with my scissors, I just take and trim around the with just to get the excess off so that I can file the rest off. And that is what I do next, is take my little fingernail file and file in a downward motion all the way around to get this off. Now you can also use the burn method here. My only thing that I would say about if you're going to use the burn method is make sure that your edges are secured really, really well. I would almost recommend going back over them with Mod Podge before you do the burn method, because if there's any area that is not adhered, it is going to burn that area off as well. So even though this took a long time, I felt like this was the safer method for such a big piece. Now it's time to make another messy bow. So I took this burlap that I had showed you in the last DIY, and this is the same stuff that I got off of Temu. It comes in so many different colors. I ended up getting 2 packages of it, and I wish I could remember how much it was. It was so reasonable. It was just kind of really a steal. So again, I do have a Temu associate link, and it is linked below, and you will get 30% off of your first order if you use that link and or the code. So I just take my lengths of that burlap I got there and some other ribbon that I had on hand, and I am just going to lay them out in an X. But first I'm going to take and dovetail the ends. I don't dovetail the ends of the burlap initially, but I do go back and do that. So then I take a piece of twine and tie it tightly in the middle to create my messy bow. To add to the middle of the bow, I just take one of these little yellow flowers off of a pick and hot glue that down to the middle of the bow. I then glue the bow down in the center, and you will see that I end up changing this later, but this is the starting point. I had a heck of a time getting this to look the way that I wanted it to. So then I take this burlap ribbon. This is a thick piece of burlap ribbon, and I am just going to fold it and glue it and make a little pocket out of it. So I glue 3 of the sides together. I want to make sure and leave that top piece open so that that is our pocket. And I decide to actually glue that portion down as well because my pocket was a little bit too high and I didn't want raw edges. So I glue that over as well. And then when I glue it to the bunny, I'll only glue the 3 sides. So we'll still have a pocket. Next, using the hot glue gun, I just glue around the 3 of the sides and glue our little pocket to the bunny. I take one of these little carrot forms from the Dollar Tree, and the first thing I did was fill the hole in it because it was for, like hanging on a garland or making an ornament. And so I do fill the hole with nail hole filler and then sand that down. And then I give it a coat of white paint in the color Plaster from Waverly. I then take these little blue flower transfers and I am just tracing on the back so that I know how much of it to cut out. And I don't cut completely, I don't cut right along the lines. I just cut enough so that I can lay the transfer down and make sure that the whole carrot top is covered. And so I lay it down and get it straightened out the way I want it and then smooth it down on there. And then I take my burnisher and just burnish it on there. And you can kind of tell it sort of, so I didn't quite have it done there. It sort of changes the look of it. And you can tell when it is adhered to the wood. And I did do this after I let the paint dry. Then I take and peel it off when I've got it good and stuck. And there was a couple of areas that hung over the edge. So I just took a fingernail file and sanded those off. Then I take this tiny little carrot that I also got from the Dollar Tree and I use this navy blue color. I actually picked this up at Target and they were on clearance for, 50 cents, 49 cents, something like that. And I decided to put one of the little leaves on it as well. Flowers, I can't tell from this angle if these are leaves or flowers. And so I apply the transfer the same way to the top of this little carrot. Then I take this pick and take it apart and just add a few pieces of this greenery down inside my pocket. Here's my little blooper here. I had a spot rip, and so I take and glue a piece of the greenery down over it so that I could hide my little air there. I had a heck of a time with this bunny, you guys. So then once I get the greenery in and get that all fixed, I take and glue my 2 carrots together, and then I glue the carrot onto the pocket. And then I take and remove the bow from the middle. I decided I didn't like it in the middle. I wanted it a little more on the side, and so I do change that and then just place it so that it hides the area where I ripped it off. I changed my mind on this one a lot, but it sure does turn out bright and colorful. And here is a look at it all complete and sitting up on the fireplace. You guys will have to let me know what you think of this one. It's really busy and really bright, but I kind of like it. I'm not sure. I'm not 100%. I feel like maybe I should have put some neutrals in it as well, you know, some browns or something, but you guys will have to let me know in the comments below what you think of this one. And for our final DIY today, and the final way we are going to use tissue paper is we are going to use it as a wrapped backdrop. So the first thing I did was I took this frame from the Dollar Tree and I am giving it a coat of Rustoleum chalk paint in the color linen white. And I say a coat, I actually do 3 coats. And I had cut these out on my Cricut, and so I am just adhering them to the glass. And so I cut out menu and then the days of the week and then shopping list so that I can have it all in one place. Then I take and cut out a piece of poster board, and we are simply just going to wrap this tissue paper around the poster board and secure it with some Scotch tape on the back. I took the frame, and once it was good and dry after I had done the 3 coats of paint, I am going to take a fingernail file and I am going to distress it. And then I take and reassemble the frame by putting the glass in first, and then we will follow with our tissue paper covered poster board. And then put it all back together, and that is it for this one. Now I can use this like a dry erase board, and it's got a nice bright yellow color. The beauty of it is that it's easily changeable. I could change this out for the seasons, or if I change my decor, it's just super easy DIY. So here it is hanging on the wall. Let me know what you think in the comments. You ever make something like this? All right, before we go today, let's take a final look at the 4 projects. I would love to know which one is your favorite. Do you think that you would ever recreate any of these? So what are you going to do with your tissue paper? Are you going to make flowers? Are you going to Mod Podge? Are you going to wrap something in it? Anyways, I'd love to know all your thoughts in the comments below. I would like to thank Karen for hosting this challenge with me. I would like to thank Favi for sending me tissue paper, and I would like to thank everyone else who participated in this playlist for joining us again this month. Finally, a special thanks to my subscribers. You guys make this possible. And to anyone who is new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you found something that will give you inspiration. Have a wonderful day.